episode on the Ride with Rice Trek with our special guest, Meryl Kennedy-Farr from Kennedy Rice Mill, Kennedy Rice Dryers.
And Kenchaux.
And Kenchaux.
Yeah. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. Thanks for taking a ride with us. So tell us a little bit about your business. I think the first time I ever met you or your family, I think your dad was receiving the Rice Farmer of the Year, the Lifetime Achievement Award, I think, at one of the outlet conferences. Tell us a little bit.
So my father started as a farmer over 50 years ago. I think it's around our 55th crop, although he continues to say it's his 50th crop. I don't think he's going to move past 50. But he expanded the business over the years, and today we take rice actually from the field to a finished product into a package, which is our newly expanded retail brand. But our primary business is really built on core industrial export, and then some domestic businesses as well. So anywhere that you might find rice, you could potentially find our products, whether that would be in beer or cereals or in a package, a wide variety of different names, and cereal bars themselves, granola bars. So people I don't think realize how many products rice actually is in. But we supply a lot of the industrial companies that actually use rice as an ingredient, and it's really a perfect ingredient for some of the snack food products that you eat every day.
Because it's the least allergenic, it's GMO free, it's gluten free, right?
Exactly, and it's a nice binder, and it's really a perfect type ingredient that they can use to make other products. There's also a lot of rice flour that's going into the gluten-free markets, which is something that people, that market really was just created in the last 10 years, right? So those are all things that I think that you've seen rice really go into a lot more products, right? Because of the markets are changing, the consumer perception is changing, and the consumer demand, for wanting different types of products has changed.
Talk a little bit about how important the rice industry is, but you specifically, the Kennedy companies, as an economic driver in the community. I mean, you employ a lot of folks, and it's. I mean, you're a big part of the driver of this part of the state. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think that what we're most proud of the company is that we still operate in a very small community. I mean, Rouge is only 500 people, but we do make a bigger impact in the surrounding areas of our areas that we operate in. And then we've got a rice mill in South Louisiana and Abbeville. It's the same, small communities, right? So, there is a lot to be said about rural economic development and, providing jobs in depressed areas where there's not a lot of economic growth. And so that's probably what I'm most proud of, is that we can continue to operate where we started, and then in the communities that have helped us grow our business, and give back to those communities.
And talk a little bit about Kenchaux, about how that's grown, that brand's grown, and where folks can find it, and right, it's because it's
so Kenchaux is a little bit of our new pet project. We started doing some organics a few years ago. And
where does the name come from?
The name comes from Kennedy, is my family's name, my father's name, and actually Kenchaux is my father's mentor. So Mr. Frank Kenchaux is my father's mentor. His family basically started the U.S. domestic rice industry. They had Bahama Foods for a long time, and so Shaw was to stand for him. So it's Kenchaux to represent for both of them, which are both been huge mentors in my life. But we started growing organics a few years ago, and we said, hey, this might be an opportunity for us to put a brand out there. So it's really only 4 SKUs. 2 are sustainably grown products, natural products, and 2 are organically grown products. And so they're really, it's really in our local area that we've been promoting those products, but we've been, aiming to kind of get distribution into other areas, but just really kind of grassroots at this point.
You said the S word, sustainability. Where do you think we're headed as an industry, as a rice industry? Where do you think that is going with that? There's a lot of consumer interest.
Right.
It's a lot of stuff we know that farmers are doing already.
Absolutely.
They're maybe just not getting credit for it, or folks don't know about it. Where do you think we're headed?
Yeah, Michael, I think that you said it. I mean, most most of the sustainability projects I've been part of have been really more about quantifying what we're actually doing. So, you know, we live in a wonderful country, and a lot of our farmers for many years have been practicing sustainable practices, whether that's less water usage or less chemical usage, really from economic benefit, right? But also just because they're good stewards of the land. Nobody was really counting, you know, nobody was really actually quantifying that or saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, right? They were just doing it because that was the right thing to do. Now, there's always ways to improve yourselves and, you know, things that you can, you know, continue to strive to get better and better. But I do think that the U.S.'s ag community in general, rice, but other commodities as well, is really the gold standard of the world when it comes to sustainability. And there's a lot that we can learn from each other. So I think it's pretty exciting that some of the larger companies are telling the farmer story, and helping the farmer kind of tell his story, because, you know, again, for a long time, it just was just something we did, right? So I think that the consumer needs to know, you know, if you buy a product from the U.S., you know, these are all the things that we do to make sure that your product is safe, to make sure that we're, you know, supporting the environment, wildlife preservation, habitat. And so I think that that can only be said on a much larger platform. So I think it's pretty exciting that we're actually telling that story now.
What do you hope that we kind of leave people with when we visit with folks on this truck tour?
You know, I always challenge my friends that don't eat rice to eat rice every day for a week. And I say that only because if you eat rice every day for a week, you'll be hooked. It's the simplest start to a meal. It's low cost. It goes with everything. It's very healthy. It's the perfect carbohydrate, right? It makes you feel good. It's not like it's not a food that's going to be really heavy on your stomach, those kind of things. So that's my challenge, I guess, to y'all as you go around the country, is to challenge people to see, you know, we're passing out free samples. It'll approximately, you know, 2-pound bag of rice, 1-pound bag of rice. It'll last you a few days. So instead of putting that back in your pantry, try it once, eat it every single day. And I think that you'll get hooked on it pretty fast. In fact, my husband always laughs that he never ate rice until he married me, and then now he asks me if I don't have rice for dinner. Why don't you have rice for dinner, right? So I do think that it's one of the most versatile carbohydrates out there, and it's just delicious too. So yeah.
And good for you.
Good for you, yes.
Well, Meryl, thank you very much for taking a ride with us, for riding with rice.
Riding with rice.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you. The
I'm
donation.
just jealous.
That
I want to go around the country in this cool truck.
Well, you know, Congressman Clay Higgins was in with us the other day, and I thought he actually wanted to. I thought he was just going to ride with us. He kept saying, "Here we go. We're starting 4,000 miles right now."
And this begins it right here. You ready to rock?
Let's go.
Let's go sell some rice, baby.
I mean,
he actually probably would have gone with you, though.
he would have. He would have, and then we could have gone whatever speed we wanted to. He would have taken care of us.
Put the blue lights on top.
Yeah. But thank you very much for being a guest on the show, and thank you for your support of this trip, and obviously the donation they made today, and they couldn't have done it without you guys, and it's a huge donation. 48,000 pounds is a huge donation. It makes a huge difference in the community, so thank you for that too.
We're proud to be able to do it, and excited to support not only National Rice Month, but our local food banks, give back to our communities, and then I didn't realize it, but it was World Hunger Month as well, so pretty awesome, especially this time of year. I encourage anybody actually to, if you're going to make a donation, make it before the holidays so the food banks can be prepared and get ready to ramp up for the holiday season. So, yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.